Hello, everyone. So this is our last and greatest show, as people are filtering in. Well, it's been an exciting day at the conference, but as we all know, for the social enterprise, the real stars of social enterprise are social entrepreneurs. And that's what we're here for in this session. We have 5 amazing individuals with amazing ideas and potential to really change this world through their ventures that will be pitching their organization to us in the course of the following hour. But we also, as you can see from kind of more detailed bios in the book, we have an amazing lineup of advisors, investors, and entrepreneurs themselves on the panel. We have Josh Mailman, who needs no introduction, a very successful and renowned angel investor and social venture investor. We have Cheryl, whom we've heard from this morning from Echoing Green, Ron Gonen, who is the founder of RecycleBank, and now a professor here at Columbia and helps spread the world of social entrepreneurship to all of us students. We have Natalia, who launched the Pipeline Fellowship and the Women Angel Investors, and Melissa from Imprint Capital, supporting all types of impact investors here and worldwide. So Josh will make a few words of the introduction, and then we'll move on to the stars of the show, our entrepreneurs.
When I look over the list of fellow panelists here and the earlier ones with Anthony Bug Levine and the Sustainable Jobs Fund co-founder, and I can only think that we will only know how great this work is and how important it will be to the movement that is growing 20 years from now, because we're at the beginning of I think a massive change in what will move from society serving business to business serving society. And I'm thrilled to have been a part of it for a long time. I started Social Venture Network with Wayne Silby almost 25 years ago. We incubated Business for Social Responsibility, the Investor Circle, Students for Responsible Business, which became Net Impact, which I know a number of you have probably been involved in out of that. And, you know, I feel like this movement can change the world. And it can change the world in a way that I think philanthropy can't, because this is where the money is. And as Willie Sutton says, that's where you got to go if you want to get it. So, basically, I just want to welcome everybody here. I've been running a fund called Serious Change for the last 4 years. We've made about $20 million in impact investments, both domestically and bottom of the pyramid investments, and including with a number of Columbia entrepreneurs like David Del Serre, who some of you know, and with a number of Echoing Green fellows as well, which we're very happy about. And we're talking about a partnership with Echoing Green. And then about a year and a half ago, I came here and met Keisha Cash, and we started what we're calling a virtual sub-fund called Jalia Ventures. And Jalia Ventures is particularly looking at entrepreneurs of color that have to provide access to capital to the incredible people that we've met so far and continue to meet that are doing things to change the world. So on that, I'll say welcome, and so wonderful to be here. What a fantastic day we've had. I don't know where we are.
One other thing I forgot to mention, and a very important thing of that, is we're very thankful to the sponsors of the session, which is Serious Change LP and Jalia Ventures, Keisha and Josh participating in that, who will be considering the entrepreneurs who are pitching today for a $250,000 to a $500,000 investment. So talk about upping the stakes. And on that note, the first entrepreneur who will be pitching today is Miguel Lara with MicroHealth.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I will start my talk with a provocative question. Who is the most lethal killer in our society? When I ask this to my friends, the answers range from natural disasters to terrorism. But, in fact, the correct answer is chronic conditions, chronic disease. Health conditions such as heart disease, cancer, diabetes account for a staggering 70% of all deaths in this country. Also, 1 in every 2 adults is expected to be affected by chronic disease. To add insult to the injury, the financial implications of what I call the chronic care tsunami are also quite alarming. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to do something about this. At MicroHealth, our mission is to improve chronic care outcomes. And I have 2 pieces of good news for you. First, that chronic disease is mainly caused by preventable lifestyle and behavior choices. Second, that the research we have conducted at Columbia University over the past 5 years show that new technologies can be effective in promoting positive behavior change. The high value of this know-how quickly got recognized by a leading pharmaceutical company. So we were able to strike our first commercial deal in 2010. Our passion, what gets us out of bed early in the morning, is to create a healthier world. One in which people get the care they need and disparities get eliminated. So we decided to reinvest all the proceeds from the Pfizer transaction to create a superior product and an A-team. MicroHealth was born to empower patients with chronic conditions to connect and share relevant medical evidence with their doctors. The single most valuable asset of the company is the breadth and depth of its talent. To become a successful healthcare startup, you need to cover 3 key dimensions, and those are healthcare, technology, and business. Ladies and gentlemen, all the bases are loaded. I'm quite proud of our accomplishments in the fields of business and technology. Here you can see our 1-line resumes. But the thing that I'm more excited about is the potency of our medical and pharmaceutical team. I think this is a truly unique and differentiating asset. First of all, Dr. Eve Slater, a woman who needs no introduction. I could spend the rest of my talk enumerating her many and remarkable accomplishments. But to summarize, I'll just say that during her prolific career, she has held top-level positions in government, industry, and academia. And even more importantly, she's not only a great cardiologist, but she's a true doctor at heart. We're truly humbled to have her in our team. Thank you very much, Dr. Slater. She's in the audience. Dr. Slater's partner in crime is Dr. Mark Lara. By the way, Mark is an alumni of Columbia Business School. But also, he's a scientist and a true pioneer in the field of mobile health. Dr. Lara has conducted and published several clinical trials demonstrating the safety and effectiveness of digital health interventions. So, I have another question for you. How do you motivate this kind of talent? Here's what I think. The key is to ask them to solve a big challenge. And I honestly cannot think of a bigger challenge than the $2.7 trillion that our country spends in healthcare every year. The experts agree. Roughly 30% of the cost, approximately $700 billion, is unnecessary. We, at MicroHealth, decided to focus our energy in 2 of the main drivers of health-related wasteful spending. And those are poor patient medication adherence and preventable hospital readmissions. In particular, our strategy is to target patient communities that are being directly affected by these issues and also allow for a profitable business model to emerge. In the case of adherence, this means hemophilia, the most expensive chronic treatment in the world. In the case of preventable hospital readmissions, this means congestive heart failure, a top priority for our current administration and one that has important financial implications for hospitals nationwide. The apps and algorithms that we're launching for these two communities represent an immediate addressable opportunity of $300+ million. Obviously, that will just be the beginning. MicroHealth will continue to grow in new geographies and chronic conditions. Seriously, the possibilities to scale our business model are almost infinite. So, finally, we get to the moment that you've all been waiting for, the product demo. This is the best way for you to learn and experience how our platform works. So let's see it in action.
My name's Aaron Craig. I'm one of the creators of MicroHealth. So what I'm going to do now is just sign into my profile. Right here you'll see that I have my care team. So this allows you to define who your health information is shared with. So here's all my health information displayed on a calendar view, a list view, and timeline view. Here's an example of a text message that I received this morning. It asks, have I infused today, if I've had a bleed, or did I skip my medication for that day? And depending on how I answer, it will log different information on my profile. All of my information is saved and immediately shared with my doctors. It was that simple.
This is the real demo, and now we're going to see like a virtual demo.
Welcome to the micro world. My name is Tama Dot. I'd like you to meet my family. This is my mom, my dad, and my little brother Pipu. He's a bit of a pain sometimes. We live a good life, but unfortunately both my brother and I have haemophilia. What's that, you might ask? Well, to make a long story short, it's hard for our blood to clot. We get the care that we need, but staying on top of it all can be a daunting task. In the past, Mom had to work her magic to keep our infusions on track, as well as looking after her own medication. And Dad was awfully busy filling out huge paper logs. As a family, it wasn't always easy to stay connected with our nurses and doctors. A wise Dot once said, to see the bigger picture, you have to connect all the dots. And so MicroHealth was born, a cloud service that allows our family to track the progress of our health. Mom never missed a dose again, as she was always conveniently reminded on time. Dad gladly said goodbye to paper logs. Now with just a single click, our care team gets the latest update. Through MicroHealth, we're always connected with our doctors and nurses, and even the rest of the haemophilia community. The bigger picture? Much better treatment decisions are being made as a result of connecting the dots. Make your connection today. Join MicroHealth.
Interesting stuff. Well, I had a couple more slides on financials and milestones, but I think I'm going to have to skip through those because of time concerns. So thank you very much for your attention, and we look forward to welcome you to MicroHealth.
So because of time, we're going to take 2 questions from the panel and 2 points of feedback in terms of how the entrepreneur could possibly improve their pitch. I think we want to try to give these entrepreneurs as much help as possible today. So if Melissa, if you can start with the first question, that'd be great.
Yeah, it'd be great to hear you talk a little bit more about your revenue model, and so we have a better sense of how you've worked to identify your target market, and then once you've identified who you're actually trying to sell to, how you plan to go after them, and then to make sure that once you've sold them your product, that you can make sure that they will continue to work with you on an ongoing basis.
That's a great question. Our revenue model is the standard in the disease management industry, is basically per member per month. And the amount of money that we charge depends on the specific chronic conditions. For instance, a treatment for hemophilia costs $300,000 per year. So we are able to charge higher prices for our service. However, in congestive heart failure, there are other market standards that make it not so high, but we charge probably in the range of $500 per year, per patient. So that's basically how the revenue comes through. And the way that we reach the market, it varies also depending on the particulars of the condition. In the case of hemophilia, the ones who benefit the most from our intervention are the pharmaceutical companies, because every time that patients don't comply with their treatment, they lose revenue, right? So they're the ones that will be more inclined to pay us. In the case of congestive heart failure, for instance, what happens is that CMS, the Center for Medicaid and Medicaid Services, now will release a new legislation in which they will penalize the hospitals for patients that are being readmitted in excess. So in order for them to save that penalty from the government, they will basically follow up with their patients using our service, because it's demonstrated that when there is proper follow-up, that readmissions go down.
Thank you. Ron, did you have a question for the entrepreneur?
What do you see as your barriers to entry? It looks like a model that could be very helpful to patients and potentially doctors, but do you see any barriers to entry from someone seeing what you've developed or launched and just deciding to launch something similar?
We think that particularly the hemophilia market, it's a kind of winner-takes-all market. So we're uniquely positioned to be the first to create the network. Once you have that network in place, it will be difficult for a new entrant to penetrate that market.
And did anyone else have a sort of burning question? Josh?
Yeah. We have met before, so it's kind of a follow-up question. Your ability to get one of the patients from one of the hemophiliac centers in the country is very key to your business model. Right. What makes you think you're going to be able to get that first group of, I think, whatever, 1,000 or 2,000 patients?
Well, the best indicator we have is the reaction we're finding from the people we're talking to. We have already started conversation with home healthcare companies. Those are the companies who distribute the medicines to their patients, because this is medicine you cannot buy in a regular pharmacy. And both of them immediately, like a week after we started conversations with them, they already want to sign up a deal. And each of one has hundreds of patients already included in their network. So if we reach those home healthcare companies, it will be fairly easy for us to get traction in the universe of hemophilia.
Thank you. Cheryl, do you mind giving some sort of quick feedback on the overall pitch and presentation, whether or not it was clear what the business was, and any thoughts on the presentation overall?
Sure. Well, thank you for giving us the pitch, and sounds like a terrific opportunity. I guess maybe a bit of feedback would be to maybe spend a little more time talking about potential barriers of entry, because as a former physician, I was sort of thinking about what are HIPAA concerns that would prevent this from getting uptake, as well as, pending challenges to the healthcare legislation where people are thinking billions of dollars are coming online. So how would you address some of those concerns that people are probably thinking about when they're listening to your pitch?
Okay, I'm going to take good note of this, and next time I'll nail those points.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Miguel.
The next person up is someone who will bring light onto the world, Anna.
Hi everyone, my name is Anna Stork. I'm co-founder of Luminaid Lab. a company focused on making light more available, affordable, and sustainable. We have an innovative design for a light that packs and ships flat, and we hope to create a new model for a socially aware and socially engaged for-profit venture. Andrea and I recently graduated from Columbia School of Architecture. I have a background in engineering from Dartmouth College, and I've worked at the U.S. Army in technology development. Andrea is currently getting her MBA at Chicago Booth, and she has a background in project management. The greatest need for light is in rural developing markets. 1.5 billion people across the globe lack access to electricity. This is roughly equal to 1 in every 4 persons. Most of these people are forced to rely on dangerous, toxic, and expensive kerosene lanterns, spending up to 30% of their income on this non-renewable lighting source. Recent natural disasters in Haiti and Pakistan have left millions more without light and are unfortunate reminders of the inevitability of humanitarian crises. Andrea and I were in a course that started 2 weeks after the Haiti earthquake. We were asked to design something that would improve living conditions for those living in informal settlements. We were surprised to hear how unsafe it was at night for women and children at night in these tent cities, and we saw how a portable, rechargeable light could greatly aid in survival and safety for these victims. So we believe that in addition to food, water, and shelter, that light should be distributed with other relief supplies. The Luminaid combines inflatable and solar rechargeable technology. We partnered with Columbia Technology Ventures, the largest university tech transfer office, to patent this innovation earlier this year. A bit of an introduction into how it works. Sunlight charges the solar panel during the daytime. This energy is stored in rechargeable batteries. An inflatable valve inflates the light, and a switch turns on the bright LEDs. The Luminaid inflates to diffuse the light like a lantern. It's waterproof and can float. It's highly portable. It's made from an environmentally friendly form of plastic, and it has a printable exterior surface. So for 4 hours of charging during the day, you get 4 hours of 35 lumens on the high setting and 6 hours of 20 lumens on the low setting. It's designed to last between 2 and 3 years. The batteries can be recharged 800 times. So there are a lot of solar lighting products out there, but current products are bulky and expensive to distribute in large quantities. We designed the Luminaid to directly address these challenges. For every 8 solar flashlights, you can pack and ship 50 Luminaid lights. We estimated the cost multiple to ship 1 Luminaid in comparison to similar products, and in some cases, the Luminaid is up to 12 times cheaper to ship. Current products can be classified in terms of ambient lighting, task lighting, and directional flashlight lighting. The Luminaid is most similar in cost and function to the D-Light Chiron lantern. In a plot of cost versus functionality, the Luminaid is lower cost and similar performance to its nearest competitor. In addition to this, for the space and volume of 1,200 D-Light Chiron lanterns, you can pack and ship 13,000 Luminaids. Luminaid Lab will market the Luminaid in 3 distinct markets. The first is consumer retail, the second is disaster relief aid, and the third is humanitarian aid as a replacement to kerosene. To increase the environmental and social impact that the Luminaid can have, we plan to couple sales and marketing strategies. This will allow us to keep the price of the product low in the humanitarian aid markets while allowing our company some flexibility to grow. We call this give one, get one. So how will you as a customer be able to participate? You'll be able to go on our website and choose your cause or crisis that you want to send a light to. So for example, if you wanted to send a light to the ongoing relief efforts in Japan, you would buy a light for yourself, and we would send a matching light through one of our hypothetical partners, such as the Red Cross. We would share with you how many lights have already been sent, and we would encourage you to share and spread the word. We want to fully leverage the promotional aspect of the Luminaid through creative partnerships in order to increase its impact and allow it to scale. So we are trying to bootstrap this for as long as we can, and we're seeking 80,000 in seed need. We've raised 30,000 to date. This 80,000 will go to optimizing and certifying the product, to manufacturing the first run, to field testing it, and to develop an online retail platform and distribution. In year 2, we plan to hire additional marketing and sales support, and we hope to begin securing NGO and government contracts. In year 3, we'll secure larger NGO and government contracts and partner with national retail outlets. In year 4, we hope to introduce new products, and by year 5, we will have sold over 2 million units. We have the patent and legal support of Columbia Technology Ventures. In a competitive marketplace, this is very important. We also have a number of established relationships with a number of organizations that have existing distribution networks for solar lighting that we plan to leverage and partner with to distribute and send our lights through. So Andrea and I recently traveled to India when we graduated in June and July to field test a small number of lights with a few schools and orphanages that we had contacts with. And we are hopeful that we can continue to go back in the coming months to distribute some of our first manufactured lights. We believe the Luminaid is a product of a lot of possibilities. Imagine a 16-year-old in a rural community in India without electricity. What could she do with an extra 4 hours of light at night to study? Imagine a small business owner who sets up his shop on the side of a street in Kenya. What could he do with 5 extra hours of light at night? How many more customers could he serve? So we ask you to join us and help us make this happen. Thank you.
Natalia, we'll start with you.
Hi, Anna.
Hi.
In the spirit of full disclosure, I wanted to share that actually Anna was a Pipeline Fellowship Pitch Summit finalist. And it's a pleasure to see you again and also see your updated deck. It was really helpful actually for you to share the competitive market landscape and actually see that you are a coachable entrepreneur who includes the advice. The other part of it, we panelists, we have additional notes that some of you out there might not have. And I just wanted to bring up something that the notes share with us, which is that you're concerned about giving away too much equity at this early stage. And share with you actually some feedback that we got by a serial entrepreneur at our angel investor conference a few months ago. Her take was, you know, who cares how much equity one has if one doesn't exit? And especially if, you know, for example, you have a 1% and you become a Google, you know, that might be something for you to think about versus, you know, if you do end up having 60% or whatever and you don't become a Google. So just something for you, food for thought.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Questions?
Oh. Well, I want to admit to being pleasantly surprised because I have seen and been close to a couple of solar light ventures, and you know, it's the lowering the cost, I think, is a very, very significant thing. How much do you think these will cost in, you know, in scale manufacturing?
We want to sell them for less than $5. The ideal price would be around $4.50 in large quantities. That will decrease with the scale of production, but we're looking at around $4.50.
Is the idea of the bag is so that it can be transported? Is that it's not about floating?
It's not about floating, but that's sort of an added advantage. The main thing is that when you have LEDs, they produce a lot of glare. So you actually want sort of a diffuse source of light. So the inflating, it's going to be made, it's made out of a semi-transparent material, so it diffuses the light like a lantern, like a lampshade effect.
And we actually, go ahead, Ron.
Go ahead.
Nope, you first.
I like where you're going with this. I actually took the air out of it because I found it actually more useful without the air, but I like where you're going. I think distributed energy is going to be really important in the future. One thing I would suggest is to have two verticals for this. One is a vertical for developed economies where you may be able to turn this into a product, and I can talk to you afterwards about some ideas, where you can turn it into some products that people would take on a camping trip or take it to a sporting event, right? And there's might be some really great revenue there. And then there's another vertical, which is this could be really useful in disaster relief and in some economies where there is no electricity or it's really hard to get electricity. I'd actually thought of it as a bag because one of the things that happens in disaster relief situations is people actually have stuff that they're trying to get out of their home or that they're just picking up in terms of water and different things from first aid, and nobody ever has a bag to carry it in, and what they usually end up given is plastic bags, which they then discard all over the place, and you have more garbage. So this might be an interesting first aid bag that you get in disaster relief that you can put your stuff in, and also serves then as a light when you get to your camp or wherever you're going to stay for the evening. But more importantly, I would create two verticals, one for in the United States, what type of licensing deals could you do and how could you sell this just as a pure kind of fun, interesting product? And then another vertical, which is what does the product look like in disaster relief situations? And if you mix the two, it'll get confusing from a design perspective. I'd keep them separate.
Thanks, Ron. We actually, I'm going to put someone on the spot. We have someone here, Nijad, from Acumen Fund that actually focuses on, energy and water and has done a lot of work internationally. So I'd love to hear a question from him or some feedback.
Sure. I guess having been an investor in D-Light Design, which is sort of one of your key competitors, I think D-Light would say that one of their challenges, that they're not necessarily a solar LED light company as much as they are a marketing, distribution, consumer products company. And so you have a very ambitious project where you're looking at distributing through multiple channels, both retail as well as through the aid channel. And I think you're going to have to really think through what the challenges are going to be there in terms of distribution and sort of getting the product out to market. And even if you've reduced your price point and you've kind of gotten to the right willingness to pay, the ultimate ability to distribute through these different channels will be challenging. And so I'd love to hear more or at some point for you to think about the differences in the buying patterns in the aid market in the US and sort of the distribution there, as well as on the retail side, and whether or not you should be focusing on just one of those at first and then moving on to others down the line.
Thank you. We've received, I think that is a very important question for us to kind of tackle in the next coming months as we begin distribution and sales. We have always wanted to kind of do both simultaneously, but we'll have to take that step by step and just figure out how to do them both at the same time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When they apply, technically in green, they wouldn't have a good one. It's a new part of it, which I like. It's kind of like Tom's shoes, I guess.
Was it? I think the cost. I mean, basically.
Thank you. And our next entrepreneur is Chris Harvell from Dental Kidz.
They'll eat their own markets. That's a problem. But it should be a problem. You know what I mean?
Dental cavities, ladies and gentlemen, the most common chronic disease of early childhood. 5 times more common than asthma, 7 times more common than seasonal allergies, and over 25 million children in the United States don't have access to dental care. There are 4 real issues that impact children, particularly those that come from low socioeconomic conditions. One is oral health illiteracy. The second is access to care. The third, as I mentioned before, and as you saw, dental cavities. And the third is childhood obesity. Some of you in the audience may actually have children, but many of you may not know that your child's first dental visit should be by 12 months, by their first birthday. But most children in the United States don't go to their first dental visit until they're 3 years old. Children from lower socioeconomic backgrounds often have to be treated in facilities that are outdated. They have to wait extensively for appointments. And even when they're in those appointments, they tend to be rushed through. I've already showed you what dental cavities can look like when they get to be pretty extensive. And lastly, there's a direct correlation between early childhood cavities and childhood obesity. 1 in 3 children in the United States is clinically diagnosed as obese or overweight. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Harvell. My wife, Dr. Leslie Harvell, and I are the founders of Dental Kidz. We're a pediatric dental company that's located in Newark, New Jersey. Our mission is threefold: to educate parents on the importance of pediatric oral health, to provide the highest quality care and state-of-the-art facilities, and to be active members of the communities that we service. Now, why am I here? Because I need some money. Well, there's a huge, huge need in Harlem, tremendous need in Harlem. It goes without saying that, just intuitively we know that Manhattan has a lot of people in it, and New York City in general does as well. But did you guys know that if Upper Manhattan was a city, it would be the 25th largest city in the United States? And within that city, 30 to 35% of the people in that city would be children under the age of 16. Harlem needs pediatric dentists. Harlem has the greatest need of dental health care providers in all of Manhattan. The New York Department of Health cited that the pediatric dentists represented the greatest shortage in the entire state. So if the entire state of New York has a shortage of pediatric dentists, imagining what's happening in Harlem. Did you guys know that there's only 1 pediatric dentist? I'm gonna say this again, 1 in all of Harlem that's in private practice? Dr. Christina Abreu Sosa. She's located on 110th Street. Now, can you imagine how many kids don't receive care? Now, I don't want you to think that, oh, well, Dr. Sosa is there and there's nothing else going on there. No, no, no. You have 2 hospital programs that are there. One is called Harlem Hospital. The other one is New York Presbyterian Hospital, which actually has fellowship programs in which they train pediatric dentists. So there are less than 10 pediatric dentists and residents, if you want to stretch the definition, in Harlem. Less than 10. But how many of you would actually take your own children to a hospital program for them to receive dental care? Not many. One of the biggest questions that I get is, well, what is a pediatric dentist? And how is it different from a general dentist? A pediatric dentist is analogous to a pediatrician. After 4 years of dental school, a pediatric dentist has to undergo a 24 to 36-month residency program. They're trained to meet the needs of healthy children, special needs children, as well as medically compromised children. They're particularly trained in performing oral sedation, IV sedation, and treatment under general anesthesia. And obviously, one of the key things is that they're trained to recognize discrepancies in growth and development and receive training on how to treat those discrepancies. Now, what do? How are we different? What's our kind of sticking thing? Well, everything we do is child-centric. Our office in Newark is 8,000 square feet, as I mentioned to you before, but everything about it is child-centric. Our waiting room is about 1,500 square feet, has a slide, it has age-appropriate games, flat-screen panels, all that kind of stuff, so it looks nice. But that looking nice is extremely important to that 3-year-old, that 7-year-old, and even to that anxious parent who hasn't been to the dentist in 10 years because they're afraid themselves. It's very, very inviting. We offer the full suite of pediatric dental services and orthodontic services. We offer in-office sedation and treatment under general anesthesia. But one of the things I'm most proud of is our focus on preventative care. We offer routine nutritional counseling as well as oral hygiene instruction. So what does that mean? That means that if you have an autistic child that's on the far end of the autism scale, that refuses to allow you to enter their mouth, we can train you on how to do so. If you have a child that's tube fed, and they're 8 years old and you've never brushed their teeth, we can teach you how to do so. Okay? But it also entails, we talk to you about what to snack on, what you shouldn't be snacking on, how much juice you should actually be consuming or your child should be consuming based on the age that they are. You know, one of the things I want you guys to think about, I mentioned earlier about what a pediatric dentist is. We have a lot of women in the audience, and if some of you have children, I want you to think about whether or not you'll take your 3-year-old daughter to your gynecologist. Sounds a little strange, right? You wouldn't do that. But that's how I want you to think about the importance of pediatric dentistry. It's the same way when you had your little bundle of joy and that pediatrician was there to greet you that very first day, you wouldn't think of taking that child anyplace else but there. So that's how I want you guys to think about the pediatric dentist. Now, these are some pictures that I like. My wife is beautiful, yes, and Cory Booker has a nice head. But it was a very proud day for us because this was January of 2009 when we did our opening. He was there. He's a huge supporter of ours. And these are just some photographs to kind of showcase what it looks like. It doesn't do it justice because it's so large. I'm not really good with the fisheye kind of lens thing, but it gives you some perspective. So, quite simply, I want to do it again. I want you guys to help me help others smile. These smiles that you see here, one of which, it was from the prior first 3 slides. So if you can imagine going from your first 3 slides to this very last slide, that's what we're all about. And I want to thank you guys for your time, but before I close, we've been in operation now for about 2.5 years, almost 3 years. And my proudest thing is that we've treated thus far over 5,000 patients. And we've made a difference in the lives of so many children. It's incredible. And the cool thing is actually we're making money from it too. So, again, from my heart, thank you guys for giving me your time this evening to allow me to speak to you about this, my business, and from my wife as well, we both thank you. That's the end.
I want to start with Melissa.
Yeah, I love this business. I think that there's...
Can you use the mic?
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, I love this business. I think that there is clear potential to achieve very high levels of social impact through a business enterprise, which is clearly well thought out and well run. But my biggest question, I think, relates to how you address the fact that the patients who probably need your services the most may not be able to afford to pay for them. So I'm just wondering how that all fits in to your model with regards to, because I mean, what you're doing kind of goes above and beyond what a traditional pediatric dentist would do, at least more than what mine does for my children. So, you know, it'd be interesting to hear how you bridge that gap and how you overcome that challenge in your business model.
Well, hello, Melissa. I've heard your name quite often and great things about you, so
nice to meet you.
I want to say hi to you. Well, actually, we're actually insurance agnostic, and meaning that we don't care if you don't have insurance, if your parents are here illegally and, you know, they can barely afford to make ends meet, we can find a way to treat you. We have a sliding fee scale that we've worked out with the state of New Jersey that's based, it's kind of a matrix, if you will, so it's based on income and family size, and wherever you plot out is the amount of a discount that we'll give you. We take all the Medicaid insurance programs in the state of New Jersey, as well as we take, obviously, all of the private insurance programs. Right now, our patient base is about 70% Medicaid or no insurance, and 30% private insurance, like what we would have in the room. So hopefully that directly answers your question.
Yeah. Cheryl, did you have a question for Chris?
Can you talk a little bit about at what point would you be profitable with a split of 70% sliding fee or Medicaid reimbursement? Like, what volume do you have to see to achieve profitability?
Well, the good news is we're profitable now. Yay! So, and you know, it's interesting because I would say that, like I said, we started in January of 2009, so we have a January start date, right? So it's, you know, it's almost 3 years now. And we probably broke even about June of this year. And the reason why it took us so long, my wife was pregnant twice in that time period, right? So when we were first starting, it was just she and I was the assistant, former banker, now I'm an assistant, doing stuff that I never thought that I would do, with my pregnant wife screaming at me, no, I'm doing this wrong. But now we have 15 staff members and 3 doctors, okay? So we see right now we're growing at a rate of 160 new patients a month. The industry average is 20 to 30 new patients a month. You know, it's not sexy. It's not sexy at all. Really, what it is the fact that we care. Anytime that we have an opportunity to speak about pediatric oral health, we're there. We're there. Yeah, we do the social media stuff, but really we go out into the community. My staff is encouraged to go out into the community and talk about what we do and say, you know, hey, come on over, come check us out. You don't have to come to us, but at least come check us out. We can answer some questions for you. We can give you some literature and that sort of thing. So again, we broke even about May of this year. We do about 130-something thousand a month now in top-line revs. We're on pace right now to hit about $1.5 million total top-line revs for this year. We did about 150K of EBITDA, and we're actually going to be positive from a net income perspective too. So after we add in that depreciation and all that other cool stuff, we still make more than $1. So I'm really happy about that.
Ron?
I have a funding suggestion for you.
Absolutely.
So it seems like if I were working for a company that sold dental products, be it toothpaste, toothbrushes, floss, I would look at that beginning part of your presentation and say, there's a massive untapped future market for my products. And the more successful your business is, the greater the market is going to be for my products to actually enter that market. And so I would suggest reaching out to some of the companies that provide toothpaste, toothbrushes, floss, anything else that someone needs to use for dental care in their home, and help them understand that this is a untapped market for them. And the more successful you are, the more successful they will be sometime in the future. And it'd be a great way to get some inexpensive capital.
Absolutely. You know, I didn't plan any of these folks here. So we actually are the #2 in the state of New Jersey buyer of dental supplies from Henry Schein, which is one of the largest dental supply companies in the United States. #2, a little old less. How are we #2? So what is that translated into? Every time we go speak at a church or at a preschool or at a mommy's group, I pick up the phone and I call my rep. He brings me whatever I need. So he's kind of gotten that. And most recently, we were in Washington, D.C. We were partnering with a colleague of my wife, along with the American Heart Association, American Diabetes Association, for the Nation's Classic, which was a football game between Howard University and Morehouse College. And we were the only people there representing dentistry. But again, Colgate-Palmolive, who works with us, as well as Henry Schein, supplied all the toothbrushes, the bags that we gave, the toothpaste, and that sort of thing. So from that standpoint, in terms of us getting free goods, perfectly, it works. Anytime we go someplace, I just pick up the phone and we get it within a day, literally.
Thank you, Chris. And I think to appreciate what Ron was saying, that it's probably more opportunity there than just getting sort of toothpaste in a bag, given that you are sort of helping them tap into an untapped market. I have one quick question, and we have to move on.
Yes.
Just FYI, Chris pitched to us last year, probably I think it was November, December of last year.
December.
And so some time has passed. So my question to you is, what have you done in terms of researching the Harlem market, identifying possible locations? Are you ready now for this expansion? Because you weren't quite ready then last December. So
direct answer is yes, we are ready. I've located a couple of areas in particular around Abyssinian and Abyssinian Development Corporation. For you guys who don't know Harlem too well, that's between like 134th and 140th Street, between like 7th Avenue and 5th Avenue, that 3x6 there. Abyssinian has a lot of supply there. From a leasing perspective, I've spoken to Sheena Wright, and she's definitely interested. And just within that 3x6, there are 6,000 children or more, right? So I mean, that's an immediate market there. But outside of that, we've looked a little bit further east in the 120s or so, but that's to acquire space.
Great.
But Sheena has said anything that we need, she'll help us out with.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chris. Our next entrepreneur is Gabriel, who is changing the face of laundry in Philadelphia.
Good afternoon. My name is Gabriel Mandujano. I'm the founder of Wash Cycle Laundry. In short, we're a commercial laundry service. That means we pick up dirty laundry and wash it for a fee. But I'm really here to convince you that laundry can be part of the solution to two of the biggest challenges that I think our generation faces. So we all know about our economy's waste of physical energy. And I got a chance to see how transportation fit into that while I was working at the Centro de Transporte Sustentable in Mexico City, the Center for Sustainable Transport in Mexico City. We hear a lot less about our economy's waste of human potential. We have a wonderful, creative, high-wage service economy. And the flip side of that is a not-so-wonderful low-wage service economy that creates jobs that don't pay enough to get people out of poverty. And I had a chance to see the consequences of that economy while I was working as the executive director of a community development corporation in West Philadelphia. So I was really interested in finding a way to combine my interest in sustainability and community development. When two of my friends, Mike and Susanna, had a baby Zora, contrary to what it looks, Mike is not about to feed Zora a bottle of Corona. But they told me that I should start a diaper service because there wasn't one. And I pretty quickly dispensed with the idea of washing other people's diapers, but I did research on laundry, and the first thing that you find out when you do research on laundry is that laundry is everywhere. I mean, literally, it's the clothes you're wearing. You might see a tablecloth in front of you. I see $3. Laundry is everywhere, especially in downtowns. This is our service area in Philadelphia. It's Center City Plus. There's a really high concentration of large institutional users of laundry. It's all within biking distance of City Hall. We just signed our first acupuncture studio this past week. And on and on. I think there's a $40 million market in our target segments, in our target geography. These are people that we can service on bicycles. This is not just laundry in general. It's part of a national market, which is about $20 billion large, according to the economic census. The second thing that you find out when you start researching laundry, oh no, laundry is wasteful. And what do I mean by that? Well, to wash a pound of laundry in a conventional process, so one bath towel, takes 3 gallons of water, 3,000 BTUs of energy, and the tendency in the industry is to increasing centralization of facilities, and so you need a fleet of delivery trucks. Cintas has 14,400 of them. That costs a lot of money. We can make money by reducing waste, and I want to say make money because this is not an industry where being green makes you more expensive. This is an industry where being green makes you cheaper. And the reason why is because there's commercially available technology that will reduce your water usage by 86%, reduce your energy usage by up to 50%, and we've replaced a fleet of trucks with a fleet of bicycles. Now that might sound nutty, but this is how it works. Oh, sorry, that makes money. It make money. This is how it works. We have trailers. They carry 150 to 200 pounds, up to 220 gallons of volume. They get around town really quick. Philadelphia has a great network of bike lanes, and so we can actually move faster than traffic. We can carry a lot on a single load. If we have large clients, we can always go more than once or send more than one trailer, and that works really well. We deliver in the winter. We made it through this past winter without missing a single delivery due to the weather. We do that using a combination of winter gear, dedicated cyclists, and metal-studded snow tires, and good communication with our clients. So laundry has been around for a while. It's a very competitive market. That's good news and bad news. we found a competitive strategy that works for us. We found it, it's proven. We've cold sold using it. We've networked and sold through our network. But basically, we try not to be the most expensive. We try not to be the cheapest either. For clients that have a social and environmental impact, we have an obvious advantage and a leg up. But even if clients don't have values, we can provide a higher level of service because we are, we are closer. We're 6 to 10 blocks from the majority of our clients. Our laundry facilities are, our competitors are literally up to 2 states away. We've put together a really excellent team. I go to work every day thrilled and excited to work with this group of folks. They're amazing, they're resilient, they love to grow, they love to learn. But beyond their nice smiling faces, they all bring really good talents. I mentioned that beyond our environmental mission, Wash Cycle Laundry is trying to create a launching pad into upwardly mobile careers for people formerly on public benefits. So far, we've created 3 jobs. On Monday, we'll have created a 4th job for people who are formerly dependent on welfare. This is a launching pad and not a landing pad. My intention is not that people stay here forever. And what I would like to use, people can grow within our company or outside of it. And I think our assumption is that people will want to grow outside of our company. Not everybody dreams of doing laundry. So Jerry, she's the manager. She's in the first managerial role of her life. Today, it was the first time she was on the interviewer side of the table to hire our 4th person in the laundry. She wants to go within us. And I think that's a standard story, grow with a company. We all know that. Danita, I don't think I'm going to be able to keep her interested in laundry for more than 12 more months, frankly. And that's fine. She has coursework in hospitality management. She wants to become a manager of hotels. She's going back to school sort of with our flexible work schedule. And we systematically are tying her responsibilities. So she's approaching hotels as a salesperson, as a colleague of hotel managers rather than as a job applicant, and I hope that she'll move in that direction. We also have a great network of supporters. I won't go into this. Every single one of the logos, these are not like, they root us on. They've given us cash, they've given us grants, they've given us loans, they've given us thousands of dollars of in-kind assistance. We've had a great reception from press. We've been on TV 3 times, from Fox to ABC to Univision. And this has created a lot of growth in our client base. Our biggest client is the University of Pennsylvania, and we think that there's a huge opportunity in socially and environmentally conscious institutions, both in Philadelphia and across the country. We've grown 34% a month from January through this month, and we broke even last June. We're making money now, too. We haul 4,200 pounds of laundry a week. So why am I here? We want to expand into our own customized, super green commercial laundry plant. What does this mean? It means we want to process about 9,000 to 10,000 pounds of laundry per day. I think that's about a 4 or 5% market share capacity. We're considering 2 scenarios, one where we lease real estate, one where we purchase. The amount of debt and equity would vary based on that. Roughly speaking, a quarter for the real estate acquisition and the rest for equipment and soft startup costs. We can be primarily debt financed through SBA and other public sector soft financing. We need about 1/3 of it for equity, depending on the scenario and the assumptions. That will generate about $2 million in annual revenue and $200,000 in net income. It's an impressive IRR. It depends a little bit on your assumptions, but our minimum assumption is about 16%, all the way up to 54%. That's only considering Philadelphia, not national expansion. We think we'll save 25,000 gallons of water and 15 million BTUs of energy and a whole lot of diesel every day, and create a launching pad for 40 full-time employees, of which 50 to 75% will be former welfare recipients. So, thank you.
So I have a question, particularly in terms of, I checked out your website and I read about the rent linen service, and especially with Rent the Runway and all these, business models that are making renting stuff popular. I was just curious about if you had thought about targeting, since you already have relationships with universities, targeting college students and transient communities that, they end up buying towels or whatever, and then, as soon as they leave, they throw it away.
So you're talking about rental of, like, consumer goods?
Probably like towels, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Commercial linen rental is a double-edged sword. It's great for people like restaurants who, restaurants won't own their own tablecloths, they won't own their own uniforms. And so it's a necessary component to get into that market because it's what's expected. But you have to sink a lot of capital into linen inventory, and ultimately it's hard to track, and it doesn't have a long lifetime. And so, if I had $1 million of equity, I'd buy inventory when I wanted it or when I needed it, and try to get everybody to hold on to their own sort of.
Yeah. And I did have a quick follow-up question. I was interested in learning about what sort of partnerships you're developing to ensure that employees graduate to other opportunities, because you've mentioned the launching pad concept.
Sure. We're supported by the Philadelphia Workforce Development Corporation, which is Philadelphia's sort of public-private workforce development funder. They contract out services to another organization called Career Team, which is a welfare-to-work operator. So they're our primary support. They can handle with all of what I would consider the preliminaries. So making sure somebody has access to transportation, making sure somebody has access to childcare, all this sort of basic work supports. I see us as very much as a complement, because once you get somebody who's, quote unquote, work ready, it's like, okay, you're ready for a job, but then what job are you going to get, and how is that job going to help you get to the next step? And so I think that really a lot of what we work on is going to be internal in terms of coaching, getting people to set aspirations, and then really, really, really incentivizing and training our supervisors to change people's work duties so that they can connect what they do at work every day to their long-term aspirations, because that's how you build an engaged workforce. If we can do that, it'll be a win for us, and it'll be a win for them.
Thank you. Ron, given this is a green business, would love your thoughts on how important it is for him to sell the green story.
I think in today's economy, it's going to be critical that he can show his customers that he is cost competitive, and I think that's the way the business is going to grow. I think there's a limited number of companies that would become partners because it's quote-unquote green, but in today's economy, it's going to need to be cost competitive. I think you have an additional value prop to the city, though, which is the more trucks that cities can get off the street, the better for their traffic as well as their roads. Like, I would look at the city of Philadelphia and how much money they spend on potholes and traffic and trucks, and that congestion is a big deal to most cities today. But I think the green aspect of it is important and is wonderful, and can be a differentiator if the price is close.
Yeah.
But the price has to be close.
Yeah, I mean, we go out into the market. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to jump in before everything was ready. We've taken 2 contracts from Cintas, which is a $2 billion national laundry company, and we've taken 2 or 3 other contracts from regional providers. So, by and large, I mean, restaurants, they care about green, but they're not cutting us slack. I mean, if you're in the restaurant industry or you're providing restaurants, I mean, they're not cutting anybody any slack. And so I'd say we're high, but we're high because we're small. But we do go up in sort of not rigged, bidding against private sector folks, and we're winning.
How will having a commercial laundry affect the price of the service to your customers?
It would significantly reduce it. It would allow us to produce, to process laundry at the market price. So a lot of it is about economies of scale. Economies of scale happen at the plant level much more than at the corporate level. So, if my plant is just as big as Aramark's plant, then it's going to be, have just about the exact same economy. The other thing that having a plant will allow us to do is purchase finishing equipment. So there's 2 pieces of equipment that are really necessary. One is a small piece folder, which mechanizes folding. So that's that's a huge cost savings there. Instead of having people folding towels, we have machines folding towels. The second is a flat work press, and that allows us to do tablecloths and sheets. So right now we can't press tablecloths, and we can't really service the full service laundry market because of that. So that's closed to us.
Can you buy that equipment used?
Yeah, so there's, I mean, it's you can get it used. There's certain downsides to it, just in terms of reliability. If you only have one flat work press, it can't go down, because as soon as it goes down, you're on a 24-hour turnaround. So there's a trade-off, but if you can buy responsibly, you can get it used, so long as you can finance it.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Our last great entrepreneur is Will from Tegu.
Good afternoon, my name is Will Haughey, and together with my brother, we founded a toy company with operations here in the United States and also in Honduras. Before I get started, just wanted to mention, I was told I have 5 minutes, not 8 minutes. So I'm gonna breeze through this, but I'm gonna hopefully cast a vision for you that makes sense. And it's certainly one that I've been living and breathing for the last 3 years. It's a privilege to be here with all of you today. To present our company. When we were launching our brand 2 years ago, the impact investing space was not one that was well formalized at the time. And it's actually a delight to be here to see all the enthusiasm and interest. So, so here we go, here's Tegu. So 5 years ago, my brother was in Honduras, working for the Boston Consulting Group, doing work in Latin America, and was exposed to essentially what we will sort of term as abject poverty. And, you know, essentially, this is a photo that I took a year later when I was visiting the country with him. This is a child, probably no more than 4 years of age, living and working on the Tegucigalpa, Honduras trash dump. Lives there with his family, probably 4 siblings, maybe 1 mother around, and they are basically at the bottom of the bottom. And though my brother was in Honduras looking at ways to improve the apparel industry, he was struck by this aspect of the reality of Honduran life. And at that point, he decided he wanted to do something about it. So when we started to look at the country, what we realized primarily is that the greatest need in the country is that they need jobs. And without going into all the details, Honduras is a country of 7 million people, slightly larger than the size of Tennessee. Its unemployment rate is steady and growing at 35%. If you compare that to what things were like here in the United States during the Great Depression, that compares to a 24% rate. As you all know, we're hurting here in the States with a 10% unemployment rate today. So it's a country in great need. It's a country with 7 million people. It's a willing workforce, but a very unemployed and underutilized workforce. As we began to look at the country, one of the greatest things that we wanted to figure out was how could we take a local resource from the local resource base, transform it in a way that was sustainable, but then make it relevant to the global consumer. And today, that's really what Tegu is all about. And if you were to look generally kind of at why we were going at the toy space, what we realized after thinking about all the different applications of wood was actually that although we could make furniture, flooring, or cabinetry or something of that sort, the toy space was really interesting. And from our perspective, it was very large, easy to enter in terms of barriers to entry. And if you were to begin to kind of think about it relative to the kind of impact we were hoping to have on the country that we had chosen, which was Honduras, we realized that, you know, if you think big and if you attack the industry well and you grow over the next 20 years, you could have a material impact on the country. So ultimately, what did we do? We went into kindergarten classrooms, we began studying how kids played. We were out in Silicon Valley doing most of that, and ultimately we struck on a concept which combined sustainably harvested wood from Honduras and what are called neodymium magnets. And without going into all the details, basically the product was launched about 18 months ago. It has been met with serious traction in the US marketplace. These are some of the awards we've won on the left and also some of the press and media that we've garnered in the process. Actually this month's edition of Oprah magazine, you'll see a large spread on the product selected for Oprah's O list. So ultimately, what does that indicate? This slide basically just indicates that we've considered the consumer, we've studied the end user, and the net result of that, which is our product, makes sense to the marketplace as well. Without going into all the history on where we are, I'd basically like to say that we've essentially entered a stage of hyper-growth, and we're having trouble keeping up with demand and doing the best we can. But we've sort of gone through the incubated proof of concept. We've sold 25,000 units of our product, and right now we're trying to figure out how to grow most efficiently. In terms of the social side, essentially it's a simple process. It starts with the purchase of our product. Obviously a child gets to enjoy the product. We then move on to really just a sustainably crafted and considered supply chain. So we've now planted 18,000 trees as part of our process, and also as part of a local initiative for those trash dump children, we've actually donated to support their school. In addition, we've hired 56 people, and in that process, 49 of the workers at the factory are learning to become craftsmen. So they've gone from unemployed to employed to craftsmen, and it's something we continue to want to develop. But ultimately what we're trying to do is introduce European quality products from a country that very few people know much about and don't think about when it comes to quality. One of the cool things we found out when we started talking to our employees is that they support their family members with their wages, and those family members are also engaged in educational activities. So without going into any other details, ultimately one of the greatest things we're trying to do, we're trying to move GDP in a country, we're trying to make a statement in a region by using a local resource and transforming it into something that the global consumer cares about. The toy industry is a $70 billion industry. Our combination of wood and magnets has a limitless potential. We're the only company doing it in the space. We've developed a proprietary technology for actually forming the product. It's patent pending. And this is a line that we've never shown before publicly. It will be launching on Black Friday. These are magnetic and modular wheels which snap onto any block configuration and allow you to zip it on the go. So I'll leave you with that, but thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today, and thank you very much.
I'm going to start with Melissa. She actually knows this company from her work with Agora.
Yeah, it'd be great for you to share some of your insights with regard to how you have overcome some of the challenges encountered with working with an unskilled workforce when you're trying to create a product which involves a high level of artisanship.
Yeah, it's a very difficult thing. I mean, you know, when you sit down, you write a business plan, you think about hiring people, you just assume that they're going to love their job, no matter what it is. If they were unemployed and they all of a sudden become employed, you just assume that life gets better. Well, the reality is that teaching a standard of quality and excellence in a country context like Honduras and some of the other countries are similar in this regard is very difficult. And one of the things that we found is as we try to create craftsmen, an eye for quality is not something that's natural to them. So when you think about our product, which really has to compete with European quality toys, ultimately it's about investing in them and investing in the right people to ensure that they're the right producers. And actually, we fired people. We bring in people. If they're non-performers, we can't keep them. Our whole ability to maintain and preserve a social mission over the long run is to create craftsmen that are as talented as a workforce overseas. And so we have very high standards. We've probably got some of the highest standards in the toy space generally. Our product is priced at a premium price point, and we have to earn that price point. So ultimately, the challenge is that not everybody gets it. Not everybody understands quality. Certainly a city like New York is used to quality, but a country like Honduras is not in general. And so it's something that we have to teach daily, but ultimately is becoming part of the culture of our factory.
And Josh, I'd love to hear from you. This reminds me of liberty and justice, and some of the same issues I'm sure Chid's having out in Liberia, and would love to hear your thoughts on this company.
I'm sorry.
I would love to hear your thoughts or a question on this company, given your investment in liberty and justice.
Yeah, I mean, Liberty and Justice is a company that we're financing in Liberia that is half owned by Liberian women survivors, and really establishing relationships now with Hagar and Itoku globally. But basically a Liberian entrepreneur going back and getting, you know, what will be thousands of women being taught to sew. So, you know, I know one thing, that there is a growing niche in the toy business for green toys, because there's a whole line of green trucks and stuff out of recycled plastic, but I think doing the stuff out of wood is really good. Where it said on this chart you had raised $1.9 million in 2009, so where are you now in your financing relative to the growth cycle that you're in?
Mm-hmm.
And did that money come from a traditional venture capital fund or somebody in the toy business? Or?
Yep. I didn't really speak much to my background, but I used to work on Wall Street and was at Goldman working in the proprietary trading business. And we've been fortunate enough to be mostly funded by people I used to work with. So it's private funding. It's actually now at $3.5 million. The original round was 1.5, and we've raised subsequent funding since that time. We have no industry money, so there's no strategic money that's come into the business. But I think ultimately we've been a fit for these individuals, one, because they're investing in people with passion. That's ultimately what my brother and I represent. And then I think, secondly, we're going after a huge market. And it's a market that we believe is bereft of innovation, and one that we think can be addressed through good design and can win on good design. And the thoughtful application of the supply chain in the background, we're not even convinced that the consumer needs to know about that. From our perspective, we win on the basis of innovation, and we attempt to create delightful products. So what do we do in the background? We harvest wood sustainably. We work with local wood cutting cooperatives in Honduras that have an FSC certification. It's basically the best in the industry. And we ultimately, our greatest sort of social priority is job creation. So I think, have we struck on a chord in terms of innovation? Yes. Are you right about green toys? Unquestionably. If you think about the target market, and in our case, the target consumer, they're generally educated, slightly affluent, care about good design. They buy quality things for themselves. And they are increasingly, like we are, caring about the planet and the impact of those things. And so when it comes to purchasing something for their child or somebody that they love, an extension of that mentality into children's toys and children's products, for that matter, is a very natural extension.
Natalia, I think you had a question.
Yeah, I was intrigued by Tegu because I actually lived in Tegus for about 5 years when I was growing up, and I know the area. In terms of the additional information that we received, it seems that you're exploring other sorts of business development, particular to using wood, and you yourself said it. My take is that your niche is really about being smart toys and not wooden products. So I was curious about if you had thought about creating different lines made out of different material sources. And one of the first things that came to mind, I lived also in the Dominican Republic for about 5 years. I was wondering, like, you know, a premium toy product made of amber, and particularly because what that would create potentially could be repeat customers.
Yeah. You know, I think that the vision for the existing product, as you've seen it on the screen, is we're taking over the playroom. So what does that mean? It means furniture, storage, and toys. And they can all be wooden, sustainably harvested and produced, and all integrate with each other magnetically. So we speak the language of magnets, which is the idea of building off the bottom of a table for a child, or climbing underneath a chair and sticking your toys to the bottom of the chair. It hasn't been done before. It's relatively straightforward to do, and it's sort of our first leg. The second leg is I want to take that kid in that trash dump, he's recycling plastic. And part of our $3 million fundraise Series B round is about actually identifying recyclable materials like those bottles and actually turning them into toys. Will it be premium? Yes. Does it matter that they were found in a trash dump? No. And so I think we have been approached by a number of other wooden products companies about producing product for them, because we do produce a quality in a region that's near the States. But ultimately, the basis of our company is good design and innovative design and striking a chord with the consumer. So I think that what we've unlocked in our toy is a very unique play kernel, which is that when two wooden pieces connect to each other magnetically, it's a mysterious experience for a child and also something fun for adults. And if you can replicate that in other materials that are as sustainable, maybe even more sustainable, you might even actually be able to touch other parts of the market, like the mass market, if you can find a way to produce, for instance, recycled plastic toys with injection molding material. So this is the start. This is a great place for the brand to begin. Wooden toys are basically the best that you can get for your children. And we are developing and have developed a brand which resonates with a sustainable and socially conscious consumer.
Great, thank you. We don't have this room anymore, so we have to all run out of here, but thank you so much.